This podcast is not suitable for children or those who are easily disturbed. Spoiler warning for whatever is in the title of this episode.
I was just reading a scary book.
Oh my god, this is terrible. When did they get to killing the children?
This is literature? A 2-year-old could have written this.
We will be requiring a bedtime story.
Oh, I don't like this book. This is going on forever.
Oh, I just wanted to see kids fight to the death is all.
Look at me! I'm enjoying reading!
Hello and welcome to 100 episode. I don't remember how to do this. Welcome to episode 153 of the Horror of Babylon, where we discuss the Dark Tower film. I'm Ryan, and with me, as always, is Daniel. Say hi, Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
And Hef's here too.
How y'all doing? Good to be here.
And you know what's also great, I would say, in fact, is our patrons, including Logan, the Full Metal patron, and Sierra, the Keyblade patron. And thank you to Four Horsemen Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at fourhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it into the store, say hello to Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas, the second sexiest man in the world after Idris Elba. Oh, hold on, I forgot about Matthew McConaughey. Ron is the third sexiest man in the world.
That's why he is Ronald III.
He is Ronald the Third. Third sexiest man alive. Which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I'd be happy to be like, 8th or 9th.
8th or 9th, buddy, I'd settle for 100th.
Nah, man, I can do better.
That ego, though.
Yeah. And the trigger warning, too many sexy men. Like, if you can't handle good-looking men, this is not a good movie for you.
That's a trigger. Not for me.
I mean, you might be for some people.
I'm open-minded enough to recognize some sexy men.
Although that's the thing about triggers is, like, if they triggered everyone, they wouldn't be triggers. They'd just be bad things.
Are you sure you're not confusing triggered with wet?
Yes.
Okay.
Stereotypes about mental illness, gun violence.
Matthew McConaughey.
Are there people who don't like Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I would say expectations of book to film.
Honestly, we'll get into that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have complicated feelings about it.
Okay, so our history with the Dark Tower movie. I saw this in 2017 when it was in theaters, and I had not read any of the books at that point, and I saw it alone in a theater with like 3 total people, and I was like, that was all right. And then I didn't think about it for like 6 years. And then as I started reading the books, I was like, oh my gosh, that movie was probably terrible. And I think in some ways it is terrible, and in some ways it's not as terrible as other people think, and it is. Yeah. All right. And
for this, actually, I own this movie, and the reason was because Lily knew I was reading it, and she and Jackie were out shopping one day, and she found it, and she was just like, "Look, Dad, I got the movie of the book you're reading," and I'm like, "That's wonderful." And then I saw the receipt. And I'm like, you overpaid.
was it more than 5?
Yes. He's like,
how is it? It was a DVD or a Blu-ray?
it was a Blu-ray.
Okay, that's a little better.
It was $10 or $12.96. To which I was like,
yeah.
but it was a gift from my child. So
yeah.
what are you gonna do? And she's not gonna listen to this. So.
Yeah. She might listen to this after you're dead.
She won't. I'm not worried about that.
So think about this. Our children, like our as millennials, our children are going to be the first generation who will have the option of listening to their parents through content after they're dead.
I've thought about this, and it's actually very funny because since I do this stuff on YouTube, Jackie has told me, she said, if you die first, you will be on the screen at home so I can hear you.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about.
I was sitting there thinking, I was like, that's actually kind of sweet.
I just
Like,
think it's sweet that she said if instead of when.
yeah.
Like,
Right.
if she lets me plan the funeral, I'm going to put up a giant playlist of all your...
Oh, that sounds amazing. Can we do that?
I mean, like, the funeral will happen, but
Oh.
you'll be up there on the screen.
Oh
just
no,
like,
I have like I said, I have two plans for when I'm dead. One, my funeral will not be a funeral; it will be a wake, because there's a very big difference.
That's super woke.
It is. It's great. And I'm going to be cremated, and my urn is going to have a motion sensor where I can say random shit at people.
I just want put in a squirt gun at my ashes and then spray it on my ex-wife's face so I can get in her face one last time.
I don't care. I just want whatever happens to be the cheapest. I want to cost my family the least amount of money possible.
Oh, that's no fun.
Yeah, but it's thrifty.
Okay, so
We find him at Goodwill.
The vampire's a pure myth, superstition. I may be able to bring you proof that the superstition of yesterday can become the scientific reality of today.
background. This film is based on the Dark Tower novel series by Stephen King. The film was released on August 4th, 2017. Its premiere, however, was at the Museum of Modern Art in New York City on July 31st, 2017.
What?
They had a false impression of what they had made.
And I think it's kind of right. I mean, you see a lot of Idris Elba, and you could consider that modern art.
Yeah, that's fine. Box office, or budget was $66 million. Box office was $113.2 million, so did not do well. It was directed by Nicolas Arcel, the guy who did The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And this movie was in development for like over 10 years and has 4 different writers, including the director, Akiva Goldsmith, Jeff Pinker, and Anders Thomas Jensen. So there was a whole bunch of different versions of the scripts. It generally had pretty negative reviews. The big obvious complaint is compressing multiple novels into a single 90-minute film. But the movie has been praised for Idris Elba's performance, the musical score, and its action sequences. It was intended to be the first installment in a cinematic universe, or a Stephen King cinematic universe, but it did so badly, it killed the entire idea. The film combines elements of almost every novel in the small elements of almost every novel in the series.
I started taking notes on that, and then when I got tired, I stopped.
But primarily, it takes the most from The Gunslinger and The Wastelands.
Yeah.
Efforts to adapt it started in 2007, and there were 3 big periods. It started with Universal. So Universal tried with it, and then Paramount got the rights to it, and then Warner Brothers got the rights to it, and then Lionsgate got the rights to it, and it had at one point Ron Howard was going to direct it, but he ended up just producing it. Originally, J.J. Abrams was the first person to have it with Universal Pictures, and he actually won the rights by giving Stephen King put the movie rights up for auction, and J.J. Abrams submitted a bid of $19 and won.
I mean, that's at least funny.
Yeah. But
Best dollar baby I ever spent.
But basically, he failed to make it happen. Ron Howard failed to make it happen. And what they both decided is we just couldn't figure out how to adapt the Dark Tower into a movie. Go figure. So there originally was supposed to be a sequel that was planning to come out. It was going to be The Dark Tower 2, The Drawing of the Three, and it was going to have Eddie and Susanna, and the Lobstrosities were going to be in it. And they had already been in talks with Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey and the kid who played Jake. All 3 of them were going to return in the second movie, but they just killed it because it did so badly. Now, after the movie was canceled, there was going to be a television series, and originally Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey were going to return for the television series. That was announced in 2018. And that died when they couldn't get it out of development, and Amazon bought the rights to the Dark Tower TV series in February of 2018. And they wrote a pilot and then decided that it was so bad that they didn't want to move forward with the project, and they tried to sell the pilot to another studio and nobody would buy it. So that project died completely. However, in 2022, it was announced that Mike Flanagan would lead a Dark Tower television or streaming series that has been in development ever since. And I looked up like updated announcements on that, and it's basically every time he's at a convention, he gets asked about it, and he just says, "We're still planning on doing it, but it's really hard. I'm still trying to figure out how to do it."
And that's that. Another story in the classic, infallible 3-act structure. Good enough for Aristotle, good enough for The Simpsons.
Mr. Sislak, I have a feeling there's going to be one more act to this story.
Well, I'm not hanging around for that. 4 acts.
Let's jump into structure and themes. And I don't think we need to sit here and tell everybody that this is not a good adaptation of the Dark Tower novel series. Let's first say, what elements of it did they get right? And then maybe we'll talk about some of the elements that they kind of got wrong.
They got things right.
I think so.
I want to hear them.
Roland, for starters.
I don't think they did Roland right. I think he was entirely too middle of the road Roland for the first Dark Tower movie.
Well, if you got to think about like how much he walked back Roland from the gunslinger.
Yeah, I was expecting him to drop Jake in this movie, and my coon says it didn't happen.
I think, remember, think of Roland in the Drawing of the Three compared to Roland in the Gunslinger.
I'm thinking of it. I just don't think it worked for this particular movie, where he was, for the first 30 minutes, he's so gung-ho focused on revenge. I don't think they developed it well enough. I think it was like speed ran so much that it was character whiplash, and I'm just like, I don't buy it.
I can't argue with it's 90 minutes long. So.
Yeah. If it was 2 hours long and they had developed that a little bit more, I'd be like, okay, well, they did still speed run it, but I at least feel it.
I actually think this movie would have been served a little bit better if instead of calling it the Dark Tower, they actually called it the Gunslinger. Like, because the Dark Tower plot itself, is just kind of there. It's not the main focus of the movie.
I think that it would have been better if they focused more on just the relationship, the rivalry between the Man in Black and Roland, and not save the Dark Tower in the first movie.
Yeah.
I didn't hate Jake in this movie, and we're not talking about characters yet, but just as I spent so much time with him where I was like, I really just want to focus on this revenge plot for a minute, and I didn't get that.
But I liked, well, we'll do it in characters.
In terms of the elements I think they got right, it's really hard for me to kind of phrase this, because in terms of, if you're talking about a straight adaptation or anything like that, I just don't feel like that's what this movie was trying to do.
No.
The whole time I watched this movie, you can take a rock and hit every single thing in this movie that is like, well, that's not the same as in the book. Well, that's not the same as in the book.
Yeah, and I don't think let's not do that, because that's not productive.
Right, but at the same time, I think that was the better way to go for this film. If you're in it, to me, this film felt kind of experimental. They were kind of dipping their toes of, is anybody even really gonna want it? And so instead of making a Dark Tower movie, I feel like they made more of an adjacent. The whole point of the Dark Tower, by the time you get to the end of the book, is a time loop. Something's going to be different every time.
I also feel they should have opened with the time loop, but only people who read the books would get what's going on.
True. Then that's the thing. But I feel like this movie as an alternative universe to what we got in the books, if that's what they were going for, I think that's the correct move if you're going to do it this way.
I was also just super annoyed anytime I heard Keystone Earth. But that was my big pet peeve from the novels. I didn't like it in the books either.
Yeah.
That there was a key Earth.
So, a couple things that I think they did well. Getting the point of who the gunslingers are across to a Muggle audience, I thought it did that well. I like the banter between Roland and Jake. Their relationship is not very well developed because the movie is so short, but Idris Elba and the kid had good enough chemistry that they just kind of worked on screen regardless, at least for me.
I think that including Jake in something like this is almost mandated because you need somebody to be you in the audience. Because if you just go into this thing, you're going to be so confused with some of the references that's dropping. Sometimes you're just dumped into this world, and sometimes that works for
you
movies.
You need your Dorothy, you need your Alice, your Kagome.
You need somebody to be there with you, also being like, what the fuck is this?
My only issue with that is usually those fish out of waters characters have almost no connection to what's dumped on their laps, and he was having progressively intense psychic visions that they were doing sort of poor, this kid's schizophrenic sort of adjacent storytelling with. And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, this kid literally knows everything that's going on already, so he's not a good audience surrogate in that sense, because he's already so enveloped in a world that he should know nothing about via dreams. Where when, like, let's say Kagome falls in the well, she's like, oh, I'm just a normal high school student and I'm in feudal Japan.
She's a reincarnation of Kikyo.
Oh yeah, she finds that out later.
Yeah, she's more similar to Jake than some of the other people I listed.
But
she has visions of the past. She sees Inuyasha taking the what's the jewel?
Oh,
the Shikon jewel.
Okay, so she's also a bad example, but usually those fish out. I felt like he knew too much of what was already going on. And that was too, so they could speed run, because they took elements from, like, what is it, 7 books?
7 core books, but if you include The Wind in the Keyhole, that's 8. If you include Little Sisters of Eloria, that's...
So they took let's say they took elements of 7 books and they condensed it into 90 minutes. So how else do you tell that story? And get, like, all this exposition across to audiences, so I know that's why they did it. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm going, well, that's taking me out of the movie, because now I'm like, well, this is me as a viewer going, well, this is what they did so that I would understand what's going on. So now I'm not immersed in the film.
I think that if you're prompt, if this movie was a writing prompt, and it was condensed 7 books into 90 minutes, they did it about as good as they could have done.
They did.
However, it shouldn't have been. That shouldn't have been the direction.
That should not be the restraint.
Yeah.
I agree.
And that's how I felt like the majority of the time I was watching this movie was everything that I saw. I was like, I know that they made this choice because they condensed it into this time frame.
So I watched an interview with Ron Howard, who was going to direct at one point and ended up being a producer on it.
Yeah.
And he said, sometimes when you're making a movie, you make a choice to go in a direction, and at some point there's a point of no return where you can't stop, and you just have to hope you made the right choice.
You do the best you can with what you chose.
The choice they made here was to kind of ignore all the weird Stephen King-y things that happened in the book and try and take the basic story and try to make it like a more mainstream fantasy gun action movie.
Yeah.
And
which I understand the choice
as like a business choice.
As a business choice.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I'm sitting, and I'm talking about this movie way more than I thought I would, when I'm sitting there watching it, I'm like, all of it was me going, okay, this was a movie choice, this was a movie choice. Mm-hmm. But when I'm sitting there thinking about, like, the business side of a movie, when I should be just sitting there going, oh, that's a cool action scene, it's taking me out of the experience. So I was taken out of the experience. At the same time, though, I'm like, I was also thinking, am I just being an asshole? And so I was starting to distract myself with those thoughts. So
I think I benefited a little bit from, this was my second time watching it, So I had kind of already had some of those reactions.
Yeah.
And again, like, this is not a good movie. I was just able to get some enjoyment from it.
Yeah.
I love Idris Elba. I love Matthew McConaughey.
I also love both of those guys.
Yeah.
There's some people apparently don't love Matthew McConaughey.
That's so weird. I don't get that at all.
Yeah.
Have they not seen Tropic Thunder?
I mean, I guess. But,
TiVo!
like, every time I see Matthew McConaughey hate, the first thing I do is Google why was he canceled, just to see like if something happened, and I can never find anything.
Tropic Thunder is another movie I don't feel like you can get away with making.
I think they should make it again, just like a shot-for-shot remake. Same actors, do it again.
They just do it again.
What a cast.
It was so stacked. It was so good.
Anyway, I think that's all I got to say on that.
I'm trying to figure out what they get right. Well, I feel like I can talk more about that they did right when we get the characters.
Okay. And then I think we just went hardcore into what they got wrong.
I think the biggest problem with what they got wrong was the premise they were given in the first place.
They started on
Right.
their first step was the wrong step.
Right.
And I do understand. I understand the reasoning, but at the same time, I'm also like, these books were really popular bestsellers for a reason. So maybe you should think about why they were popular bestsellers.
I think
it'd be like if they tried to condense Harry Potter, like the first 3 books, into a single film.
So I think they could have done because honestly,
I have an idea for how I would adapt it, but
it would, for me, it would have been kind of the same basic thing that happened in this movie where you meet Jake and he's having these issues and he's having visions and then he ends up in Midworld. But instead of like it ending with them saving the fucking Dark Tower and killing the Man in Black, it just ends with a showdown between Roland and Walter. Instead of just get rid of all the tower stuff, make it a smaller story.
I would have just done it as what was that village he ended up in the first book?
You asked me too fast.
Oh yeah.
Where he ended up killing all of them.
Yeah. I would just set it there. That's the first movie, and you condense it by having just Jake's in that village. He ended up there. He's a fish out of water because he's like, how did I end up here? And he's slowly getting his memories back. He runs into the gunslinger who's investigating the Man in Black, and then that's where they team up.
Or what if the first movie was just a straight Western?
Yeah, and it would be shot as a Western.
But what if, and Jake doesn't show up until the post-credits scene?
That's also not a bad idea. You do it as a Western with him versus the Man in Black. Yeah.
You just make like the gunslinger, like just make the first movie.
Yeah, just adapt the gun.
Like you can because you can condense that. Like that's a lot better because the whole movie he's pursuing the Man in Black. The stuff he's encountering can all be interwoven with the Man in Black.
Here's what I ultimately think, though. I don't think that with the way the movie industry is currently, that this novel series can be successfully adapted into a film series. Maybe it could be a TV series or a miniseries.
I think a miniseries would be really good.
But movies are so dependent on one movie does well so they can make another.
And so many of them are like, we can't have a movie be 3 hours long because then it only gets so many showings.
Yeah, so it's just like it was doomed from the start. But with a TV show, at least they can commit to a season at a time, and that gives you the time that you need to do all this stuff.
I also think the benefit of just adapting the Gunslinger is, let's say the Gunslinger didn't do well, you could have theoretically ended the whole series or the book there, and it's just kind of this weird sort of acid trippy ending.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
All right, so let's go to characters, and I only have our core 3. If you guys want to shout out anybody else at the end, that's fine, but we're going to start with Idris Elba as Roland Deschain. I love Idris Elba. He can do no wrong in my mind.
He broke his back trying to carry this movie.
Yeah, he did.
I did have nothing less to say. Like, I think it was. It's one of those things where if I had read these books when I was younger, and just because of like the cultural area I live in, I would have thought Roland was white. And I do think if I'd have seen this movie and they're
he
like,
is white, he's Stephen King.
But Idris Elba is revealed to be
You hunky
Roland,
boys sucking on each other candles.
I still think I would have been like, it would have been like, because what's his name? Will Smith as Jim West. Same thing. I'm just like, no, this is okay. This is fine. I love this.
I've had Wild Wild West stuck in my head for 3 days. I'm not even kidding.
You should watch it.
I'm a badass cowboy.
Let's do a bonus episode on Wild Wild West.
I could just listen to the song instead.
Why not? Come on. The fucking movie's so
Oh, I love Wild Wild West. I don't have time to watch Wild Wild West right now. Okay. I felt like, obviously it's not like, so kind of responding to what Daniel said earlier. Yeah, this is not Roland from The Gunslinger. This is closer to Roland as he is as the series progresses. This is revised Roland. This is whitewashed Roland a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know if we can call him whitewashed.
Oh, so I asked this to Emma the other day. Why is everybody not upset about the Minecraft movie whitewashing Steve? Because Steve is black and Jack Black is not black. He is black, but he's not black.
Ryan, black's in his name.
Okay, all right. Just to say, like, and I don't.
That means he gets the pass.
All right. I guess he is black.
I feel like that movie's going to have its own problems when people actually watch it. It doesn't look good.
I think it looks okay.
Okay.
My biggest issue with it is Jason Momoa, but
yeah,
I think this whole we need to stop pretending Jason Momoa is a good actor.
He was just recast as Lobo in the DC movies.
I know.
I feel like that works though.
Yeah, that's who he should have been from the get-go.
Well, it's what he looks like already. Like, you don't have to sell that. Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know. If you're gonna
I think
do
he's
Roland,
handsome, but
yeah, I think Roland.
It's not my type. I like more daddy, like older, beard, a little gray in it.
I'm sure people call him daddy, dude.
2 types of men I like. Ones that I mistake for women, and Jason Momoa, and that's my spectrum.
Like the...
You don't have a lot of prisms in that spectrum, do you?
Nope.
There's plenty of prisons.
Ooh. Fanboys and Jason Momoa.
My type is the Islamic sheriff from Midnight Mass.
I mean, not bad.
Yeah.
He still has the full beard thing going.
Yeah, I just want him to hold me a little bit.
Are you looking that up?
Yes.
I'll put him on the big screen.
Okay. Look him up, because I have zero
We're talking
idea.
about our taste in men right now.
It's just a fine looking man.
Yeah, he's got a good skin tone, and that beard is so full. I'm jealous.
I mean, like the hair and the beard.
And he looks so good in that uniform.
Yeah, he's just like he's gonna take care of you.
Yeah,
but he's
it's that picture there.
I trust him.
He's
to
got a
protect
denim
me.
jacket and a coffee cup.
I love
this.
that.
Is a
Even the
this
coffee cup. Look at how good that coffee cup looks.
This is a reliable man.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess he's also my type. So maybe I just like dudes with full beards.
Yeah.
Hey, is that Robin Williams?
Oh my god, dude!
No, that is a guy who got drunk and shot a little girl in the spine and paralyzed her from the waist down.
Was he played by Robin Williams?
No.
Okay.
That does sound like something a Robin Williams character would do, though. Like from one of his serious movies.
Did you know Robin Williams almost played the Joker?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
Missed opportunity.
Yeah, screw you, Jack Nicholson. Tom Taylor is Jake Chambers.
I didn't dislike this kid.
He's pretty decent. He's fine.
I thought he was fine.
My opinion is just that he was fine.
Yeah.
But all of my issues around it were not the acting, or it was just here's the movie decision I again recognize in me being an asshole.
So I actually got Emma to watch this movie with me, and she actually kind of liked it, but she pointed out to me that there's a lot of like stereotypes about what people think mental health issues look like that are shown in Jake. I can't speak to that very well, but that was something she pointed out to me.
Kid does have issues now. Burned up his mom.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
No, that was pretty rough.
That was pretty graphic.
I'm glad the stepdad died.
Oh
yeah. Yeah, stop breathing.
I want to talk about that.
I also do, because yes.
Okay, I love Matthew McConaughey as the Man in Black.
I love Matthew McConaughey. I think they made him way too powerful.
I think that they needed to start him with fewer powers, and then like as the series went on, they could build him a little more.
A lot of Randall Flagg's powers in the books are either vague or they build up to them. Like he can transform into stuff. He can see through other people's eyes.
His magic is very Tolkien.
Yeah, but in this movie, it's literally, I can do whatever I want except to Roland. But even then, I'm like, drop a house on him.
At least I will give the point, like, at least they bothered to elaborate that so that you don't have.
Why isn't he just force choking him and kill him?
Like he specifically says, no, it's just Roland. I mean,
but that was another
fair.
instance of me going, okay, so that's a decision you made for the movie, so that these powers, you can do these powers, but the plot can still progress, because otherwise it doesn't work.
Right.
But, so my only counter to that is the movie was already bad, and all of that stuff looked really cool.
It took me out of the movie every time, because I was just like, why don't you just go into a city, like go to the Keystone Earth, and just start going restaurant to restaurant and go kill Roland, kill Roland, kill Roland. Eventually he's gonna run out of bullets.
Yeah.
He's only using a 6-shooter. He can only kill 12 people at a time before he reloads. Go into a police station, go SWAT team, kill Roland. And I'm just sitting there going, he was too powerful for what I know the character as. But again, that's me using book knowledge and then applying it to the movie, going, oh, they did that because it looks really cool and it's fun, but...
I think Walter is where they did correctly in this movie, where they clearly, even like the person doing it was like, Randall Flagg is the more interesting villain.
Yeah,
we go with him. Don't worry about the Crimson King. Like, we can make references to it.
And they did. I liked the little hints of the Crimson King.
The references are fine. Yeah,
and obviously, like, this was an opportunity to redo the Crimson King and make him better.
To not just make him a crackhead with grenades.
Take my Harry Potter toys.
I'm still mad about that.
I am too. I thought it was awful.
I can't believe how upset I still am about all that build-up.
I will never not be mad about
what this guy was doing in this movie is what I was expecting the Crimson King to be.
That would have been better.
Yes. He just walks up to people, stop breathing.
Yeah.
Like, he just alters reality with a hand wave. Where Randall Flagg, I'm like, he's a Tolkien wizard. Like, it's a bunch of, like, vague nonsense that's really, really cool and makes sense. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
That's my only real complaint about the character. But all the actors, all three of those guys, they did good.
Yeah, it was a pretty good cast. You know, like all the minor, like overall...
No actor pissed me off. No one did a bad job acting.
I'll kill you all! I'll drive you crazy, and I'll kill you all! I'm every nightmare you ever had. I am your worst dream come true. I'm everything you ever were afraid of.
Scary shit. Is this movie scary?
The scariest thing about this is they think the business executives are just like, you can condense this though, right?
Yeah. Again,
that's still an expectation of people.
Ruined by studio stuff and producer decisions, but if we're being completely honest, they probably couldn't have made a good movie.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think their hands were tied when they started.
Yeah.
Especially if this was the goal. They're just like, you just need to comprise it. Like, if that was the lead foot on the accelerator, there's no way this thing couldn't crash.
I think like a streaming series where we're getting like minimum 10 hours per season is like the best chance a Dark Tower film TV adaptation has to succeed. Aside from that, it's like you're gonna need somebody crazy like the Amazon guy to like just throw money at it. It's got to be like Rings of Power, where he just throws so much money at it and he doesn't care what other people say. Like, I want this so much.
I will make this work. I can't I haven't watched Rings of Power, so I shouldn't judge it.
Kiss me, fat boy.
Kiss Me Fat Boy, we never brought this up. I was reading some reviews, and a lot of people brought this up as one of their main criticisms, but I was waiting to see if anybody mentioned it. None of us did, because I don't personally think it's a big deal. A lot of people did not like that it was PG-13 instead of R. So let's make it R. Let's get some sex in this thing. How do we get some sex in this thing?
Roland fucks the seer from that village they show up at, and
You think about it. It's got Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey, two of the sexiest men on the planet. There's no sex.
I want full Idris Elba ass shot as he's blowing her back out.
Ooh.
He also has a beard in this movie. I guess I just like beards. Because I can't grow a full beard. Mine's kind of patchy.
The hottest thing that I can imagine him doing to that woman is going down on her and her just like running her hands over his head.
Yeah, I love it. I love that when that shit happens.
Yeah, that's
when you know you're doing a good
and
job.
Then you could get a really good ass shot from behind of him with like his. He could put her on the table and he's doing a squat. Yeah.
And something about like a woman's legs around a guy's head. It's just,
yeah.
It's a good shot.
Yeah.
She's sitting upright, but she can't quite sit directly.
Exactly.
Like
no,
she's,
actually, I don't want her. I want him to do that to Goldberry, somebody with like really thick thighs.
Oh,
yeah.
Bro.
I want someone with a mom bod in there.
No, she was very.
She was pretty, but like, if you want my preference, I like mom bods.
And I think Matthew McConaughey should have like raped one of his servants.
I think he should have done it to one of the rat dudes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just like, oh, you know who should have been in this movie? The Rat Man.
Matthew McConaughey should have gone up to a couple of the rat dudes and just gone, fuck.
No, I think he should have raped the Rat Man, and then afterwards the Rat Man says, "The Rat Man forgive you this time."
He just walks into a room naked, and there's already women like just climaxing on themselves like already because he's just making them
go to the restaurant.
He's making an orgy happen just around him just for fun.
That does sound like something he would do too.
The pig restaurant.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah, we made it R for you. You're welcome.
Oh my God! Are you Stephen King? No, I'm Dean Koontz. Oh.
Kings of Coots, Hef, what's your king?
My king is actually, they included the scene where he had Pepsi.
Yeah, that was really great.
I'm changing my king.
I was so blown away that they included
that. Was a good scene.
There was another thing. I liked them. They did a good job with kind of the clashing of worlds. Like
I loved him in the hospital,
and that was great. And the scene where Jake tells him about guns, like, do they have guns on you, right?
And right after the hospital, he hands him telescope. You just take a call and just throws him off. Like you have hepatitis A and E, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, Roland's just like me."
There wasn't enough of that kind of stuff, but also they could have overdone it.
I thought it was actually a pretty.
I feel like if I would have gotten like 5 more minutes of that, I would have been pretty happy. Mm-hmm. I almost, because from the trailer that you showed me, I thought that was the movie I was going to get, was he was going to end up there way earlier, and it was going to be he was going to clash into our world. I almost think that might have been a better movie.
Yeah, probably. Almost anything would have been a better movie.
But those scenes I actually did really like. Yeah. So I'm changing my king to that.
My king is just going to be Idris Elba.
That was my king before.
And Matthew McConaughey.
But now I can be specific.
Have your Koontz.
The Koontz is... I don't even know how to phrase it. Like, I think the Koontz is that this movie is going to be given a worse impression than I think it is. Like, I don't think this is a bad movie. Like, I don't think it's a very, very good movie. But as a person who read through all the books, literally over a year's time span, and knowing the production difficulties and all the shit this movie had to deal with to be made, I think the fact that it came out
as okay
as it was, like, I think it's still fine. So I really think that my Koontz for this is actually probably the production difficulties it faced, because I feel like we would have gotten something not too bad if they decided to pursue. You had excellent casting. You had legitimate, like, what appeared to be decent special effects that went into it. Like,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
a lot
like,
of stuff
we
that
didn't even talk about like Roland like reloading.
Oh, the reloading thing was so good.
That was so
Like,
cool.
make it so fast you can't see it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And that's how you get across how gunslingers would fight wizards.
The scene where Jake gets grabbed and the guy runs off into the cornfield.
Yeah, that was
And
cool.
that was.
Yeah.
Oh, and I love when he recites the gunslinger oath like that. That was awesome.
Yeah, there's so many points of this movie where, like, yes, the movie overall as a collective is kind of rough.
Yeah.
But there's so much promise in it. That's what made me the most mad. Is like, this feels like something that, like, if they had just given more production and more availability to the people that were doing it, this had the potential to be really good.
If they would just leaned into the actual series, and they didn't even have to be like really true to the books. They just had to lean into the overall things that made them good, the weirdness, the fantasy aspects, the horror aspects.
Yeah.
Well, we had the fucking house that tried to eat Jake.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mike Kuntz is just what they were given to work with. It was just not enough.
Yeah.
And Mike Kuntz is, of course, he didn't drop Jake. I wanted to hear there are other worlds than these from Jake to set up a sequel that was never going to happen, and it didn't.
I would have loved it if he did, but there is no universe where Roland would ever drop Jake in a Hollywood Dark Tower movie. Maybe if we get it as a streaming series.
I honestly think Mike Flanagan would have done it, even
Yeah.
if he would have only been given 90 minutes, and he would have fought the studios on it, because that's who he is as a director. So if he actually makes the series, I'm expecting it. So, because he's okay killing kids. He's like, yeah, fuck them, kid.
Okay, rankings, Daniel. I'll scroll down some.
It ain't that low.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so here's The Mummy 1932. Better or worse?
Honestly, I felt like the only reason I would put The Mummy higher is because of like what it did for cinema and not like my own personal enjoyment.
What about Boris Karloff?
Yeah, like Boris, like the stuff that they did. I love Boris Karloff. God, I cannot say his name. you do that just to make me say. I'm gonna put it right below Salem's Lot.
2024.
Yeah.
The Dark
Because it also has that song that I really like.
Sundown.
I also feel this movie was missing like a really catchy tune to stick in my head.
Sundown, you'll never forget, 'cause I'm constantly sitting around your backstep.
It turns out I just really love whatever that music is.
It's folk
rock.
Like 70s folk rock.
I love it. I listen to so much of it now.
Okay.
The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald is a haunting song.
Yeah, it's really good. Daniel Hef. Now, Hef, I have to ask, have you read The Little Sisters of Eluria? I'm sorry, I wanted to do it one more time.
I do miss the gag.
I know, okay. We beat it. The horse is dead.
Yeah.
I'll leave it alone.
I almost didn't read it out of just keeping
Out
the
of
joke
spite.
running.
Yeah, to keep it running.
You can fit your whole list on one screen.
Yeah. Mine, it goes to number 10. It's just above the Ghost of the Darkness and below the Call Girl of Cthulhu.
Cool. That's fair.
I don't, again, I'm of the mindset, like, I don't think the reason this movie is bad is its fault.
Yeah.
I 100%
Well,
believe
like most of my bitching came from like when I was recognizing.
It's not the
studio
cast and
choices.
crew's fault.
Or the effects.
Yeah.
Or
Like-
like anything technical, like the cinematography's good, the
This,
shots
that's,
are good.
this is kind of what I meant. Like, whenever I have a lot. My feelings on this movie are very complicated. Like, and I did not expect to watch this movie and have complicated feelings.
I can respect that.
And I think both of you will be able to overlook some things and enjoy it more on a second watch.
And it's short, so it's an easy second watch.
Yeah.
So I guess that is one benefit to it being short. Is like I don't feel like I wasted like 3 hours of my life.
Oh, yeah. See, I watched it with Jackie and she liked it.
Yeah, and Emma liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this is a bad movie.
I'd much rather people enjoy movies, even if I don't.
Yeah.
And I think I liked it more the first time I saw it because I hadn't read the books, but it was still kind of like forgettable.
Yeah.
Okay, so my turn. Oh, why didn't I do this ahead of time?
So that we could get the the sigh whenever you're like slightly frustrated.
Yeah.
Sometimes I hear his sigh when I sleep.
Now imagine that going with it, and you'll just be lulled right.
I might maybe that'll
Lock
be
your
what
windows
makes
up.
me
That's
actually sleep.
you don't need the window shades. You just need him talking to you.
All right, I'm gonna make it my new number 49. Below Happy Death Day to You. Wait a minute. Happy Death Day to You is the second one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put it above that. All right, it's my new number 48. Below Ren Kazenban and above Happy Death Day to You.
Hey, it's not too far away from Beast. That's appropriate.
Oh yeah, Beast. All right, sweet.
Hello, Mr. Stein.
Hello, Mr. Black.
Who's that?
He's the new drama teacher.
Zombie Day. There are
a lot.
So many. There's references to The Shining.
I lost track.
Christine, Cujo, Misery, The Shawshank Redemption, Carrie, and It. And the other thing I wanted to mention is the kid who plays Jake's friend is the kid who plays Henry Bauer in the new It movies.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay. And we're not going to go through and list them all. Like, just,
But there's a shit ton.
There are so many. Like,
When I start...
It's probably too
This
many.
probably is something that took me out of the movie. As I started with a notepad and pen going, I'm going to start counting references.
Yeah, and then like the first 5 minutes, there's a girl walking a Saint Bernard.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, okay. Okay. The toy car that Jake is playing with in his room is
right?
Christine. Yeah. Homework. Okay, so let's say you're a billionaire and this movie happens, and you say, hold on, I need this to continue. So you buy the rights and you throw money at it. But this movie happened, and you have to use that as your basis to continue the Stephen King cinematic universe. How do you do it?
Got it. Movie opens. Jake and Idris Elba are traveling worlds together.
His name is Roland.
I can't see him. Idris Elba is only Idris Elba. They're traveling. They're traveling. They're trying to looking for the Dark Tower.
Mm-hmm.
Jake dies, and Roland fails to save him. That's how you adapt it in this softer Roland world.
Mm-hmm.
And before Jake dies, he says there are other worlds than these, which he should already know now, but he still uses the line. And the movie is he's looking for Jake. He's trying to find him, and that's when he runs into Eddie and Susanna, and they're building their team. And then the movie ends with them finding Jake, who is having that little split problem because he's also dead, and that leads into the third movie of the trilogy.
Damn, yours is better.
Sorry, I thought about this a lot.
So Dr. Sleep comes out 2 years after this movie, and that still happens. So like the next movie is just Dr. Sleep, but at the end of it, Ewan McGregor as Danny Torrance goes to a bar, and he's thinking about going back to drinking. He's thinking about becoming an alcoholic again. He's going to have a drink. He's there at the bar, and then all of a sudden Idris Elba walks in through the door, just like Tony Stark at the end of whichever Marvel.
The Hulk, I think.
Yeah, the Hulk. At the end of Hulk, and he reaches out to Danny Torrance and he says, "There are worlds other than these."
Also pretty good. Putting together your own dream team.
Yeah, it's going to be, and his quartet will just be like other Stephen King characters.
You could do one of the characters from the It movie.
I was thinking about just making the Losers Club their own quartet, because I mean they essentially are a quartet, and so they could be like the rival quartet to Roland's quartet,
or they find dead Eddie in another world,
and they call him Eddie Spaghetti.
Yeah. I feel like I've heard that before.
And that's where the boys from the body come in. That's the body they found. Mine's dumber. Mine was that door they went through at the end of the movie. He opens the door, Jake falls down a hole and dies. and the door he opens is the door he opened at the end of the book, and it says wrong choice, so he has to start again.
I was also toying around with a thing where it gets bought by Disney, and where Marvel also gets bought by Disney, and they do the Slow Muties, and all the Slow Muties are just Scott Summers.
I also thought about doing
Gene!
where they would Disney-fy it, but it would be like that everything has to be a joke every 2 minutes. I really hate Randall Flagg. Oh, he's right behind me, isn't he?
Everything's riding the bullet.
Yeah.
For further reading, I don't even fucking know.
Other Stephen King adaptations. I mean,
I guess
there are better ones. There are worse ones.
But this one is kind of what happened with this movie is kind of unique-ish.
Yeah,
it is.
I guess if you just like cool shooting scenes, some of the Matrix movies, like if that's the enjoyment you pull from this movie. John Wick.
Yeah. If you enjoy this film, I mean, I feel like there's going to be very few films that you won't enjoy.
If you like this movie, you probably just like movies.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a logic to that, actually.
Yeah.
All right. It's almost 10. All right. And speaking of excited, I'm excited to say thank you to our patrons, including Logan, the Full Metal patron, and Sierra, the Keyblade patron. Cha-cha! Woohoo! Or the
guns.
The guns. Poo-poo. And thank you to Horseman Comics and Gaming, which you can visit at the Morgantown Mall in Morgantown, West Virginia, the Mall at Robinson in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. You can shop online at fourhorsemen.tcgplayerpro.com. And if you make it in the store, say hello to the third sexiest man on the planet, Ronald III, Grampus of Christmas. Guys, thank you for watching and reading all of The Dark Tower with me. We're going to do Insomnia at least. Hopefully, we will be back here someday for a Mike Flanagan Dark Tower series. Until that day, I just want to say long days and pleasant nights.
And now for the obligatory socials. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can find the podcast on Twitter at HorrorPod69. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Slasher, and Goodreads. Become part of the Disturbed community by asking for the Facebook group and Discord links. Send dick pics to the Horror of Babylon podcast at gmail.com. Support the show at patreon.com/the Horror of Babylon. In closing, you can let your friends know that the Horror of Babylon is available on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, and all other major podcast apps. Stay scary.
And stay scary.
Stay scary.
Stay scary.